Radnor, welcome to my office. My name is Molly Gallagher and I am the Public Information Officer here at Radnor. It's time for our second installment of the Department Spotlight series. This month, we feature the Community Development Department. These folks really are the backbone of our organization in many ways. For those of you that don't know, ComDev is responsible for processing permitting, educating our community regarding codes and then enforcing those codes, food safety, and a host of other service offerings. COVID has presented challenges for each of us, no doubt. However, this team has made the necessary adjustments, so the department has run with little to no interruptions, and we hope all of you have benefited from our efforts to keep business going as possible. We are happy to introduce you to the ComDev team, and please enjoy the next few minutes with our staff.
Hi Molly, Kevin Kaczynski, Director of Community Development. I've been here a little over 9 years.
For those who don't know, what is the mission of the Community Development Department?
Ultimately, we want to make sure that we protect the health, safety, and welfare. We do that through enforcement of regulatory ordinances that are adopted by the Board of Commissioners.
What is your background? How did you arrive here at Radnor?
I come from an educational background in design, and then from there I took that into more of a code enforcement through early parts of my career working for a private consulting firm that went from designing and doing land development for the developer to then working in the municipal world as a planning consultant and ultimately as a contracted zoning officer.
Okay, and in your experience, what are the differences between working in the private sector and the public sector?
Well, for me, it was buy-in. It was visiting 8 or 9 different municipalities within a week versus having a home and getting ingrained in the community in which we were working, and it was very difficult as a consultant. So as a municipal employee, there's a little bit more buy-in for me and being able to make a difference in the communities in which we live, work, and play.
Okay, so what is your preference in this role? Do you like being out in the field, or do you enjoy managing folks here in the office and desk work?
I like the mix. It's good. It keeps you on your toes. As soon as you get into a rut in the office, something happens that pulls you out of the office, and there's nothing more satisfying than working with a resident, either somebody that has experienced an emergency through a fire or an accident of some sort, or somebody that's going through a development project on their site and working them through that process, because many residents don't know how complicated the process can be and how complicated our ordinances are. So it's taking that time to explain them how things work and what needs to be done, and then guiding them through that process.
Okay, so you mentioned an example of an emergency. That leads me to believe that the Community Development Department works with other departments here at Radnor, maybe engineering, maybe police. Can you talk about how partnership within the various departments is important to your role?
Sure. We work with almost every department, whether it's police, engineering, public works, recreation, and it's one big team. Even though we do have our defined lanes and roles and responsibilities, we touch each other's work so often that we do have a really good teamwork, inter-department and inter-municipal with all the other departments.
Any recommendations for our community about efficient engagement with the Community Development Department? So be it inspections, the business community, construction community, a resident, what are the keys to success in working with you all in community development?
I think the biggest key is asking. If you don't know, we have a great group of contractors that do work here and know the processes and know the rules. But there are residents that move from out of the area, and things are different, whether it's in Radnor or in Pennsylvania, and they're not used to that. And it's much easier to get people on board early on. So if you're not quite sure, call and ask, and we can guide you through that process.
But do you have any comments or thoughts to share with your staff after we've all been in this together for a year, this challenging time? Would you say anything about the efforts of your staff?
Staff has been unbelievable. They bend over backwards to help each other out, to help me out. I couldn't do what I do without each and every one of their hard work. And commitment to not just the Community Development Department, but to the businesses and residents of the township. And they do a phenomenal job to be able to help me manage the department and to do what we do. So without them, I couldn't sit here today and enjoy the community as we do.
I'm Mary Ann Cassidy. I work in the Community Development Department, and I've worked for Radnor Township for almost 34 years.
Okay, great. And what is your specialty, if any, within community development?
Community development does a lot. We process construction permits, zoning information. We deal with the historic board, design review board, zoning hearing board, complaints. You know, if you have a complaint about your neighbor not cutting their grass, stuff like that. We do a lot. Health is in there too.
Great. So in terms of COVID, how have you seen a change in the community development department, how your work flows, how you're engaging with the community?
Commercial work has dropped significantly. There's not a lot of commercial work going on. Residential work, however, is booming. And I think it's because people are stuck at home and looking at their kitchen like, you know, I can't stand seeing this kitchen anymore, or finishing a basement. You know, things like that is kind of what we're mostly doing now.
What is your most gratifying part of the job here at Radnor?
I like helping the residents. You know, I always try to picture them, you know, like, okay, well, if someone was asking me, you know, if it was reversed, you know, you have to help the residents. That's what we're here for. You know, I get joy out of, you know, well, thank you. You made that really easy. I thought it was going to be difficult, and it's not. And if you ever have any questions, just call and ask.
Okay, my name is Lisa Curry, and I've been employed for about 9 months. I guess it was June of 2020.
So after 20 years in the private sector, what experience from those years did you bring to Radnor, or what helped you when you arrived here at Radnor from your experience?
Well, not too many people, you know, have been in real estate and really know about properties. And, you know, for my boss, my old boss, you know, he was a developer, so there was a lot of going to counties, going to Philadelphia and getting property assessments and realizing where everything is and how to deal with sales and, you know, for real estate. So, and it was just easy.
But would good advice for a contractor looking for permitting be to call first and have you talk them through it over the phone to make sure everything's in order?
Yes, if they have any questions, because some of them know, and they've been contractors in Radnor, so they know the whole what's required. But if new contractors, and we do get that, they'll call and say, hey, I just got a job here, you know, am I registered in Radnor? And then you could research them to see if they're in there, and if not, you know, you have to fill out an application for a license.
Right.
And we do prefer that they do call if they have any questions, because then it eliminates the timeline. You know, so because it does get to the inspector, you know, we log it in, we give it to the inspector, and then but if we don't log it in yet, if they're missing a whole bunch of things.
Right.
So that one phone call can save them days.
When folks have questions, is it best to call or email the department?
I would say if they have any questions with regard to their house, if they want information on their property, that dates back to 10 years, or just call us. You know, we're easy to reach, and just give us a call and just ask us questions. You know, if they want to pull their old files, they call and they say, what do I do? And then you tell them to go online, do the right to know. It's a portal that they can, and then they'll get it within 5 days. They'll get all their information.
My name is Andy Panco. I'm a code official for Radnor Township. I've been here 6.5 years, almost 7. This June will be 7 years. And my background was within commercial and residential real estate development.
Okay, so in Radnor, what is the codes department responsible for?
So the code officials have wide-ranging responsibilities. Primarily, we'll start with all commercial and residential real estate projects, new construction, renovations, interior additions. All applications come in. We have to review them for code compliance, the structural, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and then on the commercial side, we have to look at accessibility compliance for handicap accessibility as far as the bathrooms in buildings and entranceways to buildings and any of the services that are offered to the public, like a point of sale location, has to meet certain standards.
Okay. So, Andy, can you tell me a bit about your educational background certifications?
So, personally, my educational background is I went to Indiana State University. I went to Penn State for a master's degree. And then, like I said, I was in the private sector for 29 years, construction management. But to be a code official in Pennsylvania, you need to be certified. You have to get UCC or ICC certifications, and those two terms are interchangeable. ICC is the certifying and testing body. The UCC adopts the ICC and accepts those certifications. So we have two layers of certification, commercial and residential. So for commercial construction, you need a building certification, you need plumbing, you need mechanical, you need energy, which is how you do energy compliance with insulation, and are you doing the proper windows, et cetera. You also you have to do accessibility. And all of those commercial certifications, if you achieve them, you then can do not only commercial inspections, but you can do residential. But if you did strictly residential, and I got my residential certifications in residential construction and plan review and plumbing and residential mechanical and electrical, I can't inspect a commercial building. So in our industry, a lot of people strictly get the commercial certifications, which allow them to do everything. I have a mix of both. I'm a fully certified code official, so I can do both commercial and residential inspections.
What is the most gratifying part of your job? Anything specific to the Radnor community, the business folks you interact with, the builders, designers, et cetera? Just really anything, your team here, anything you want to talk about?
I think the most satisfying thing for me is that as the community changes and as things are built and added to the community, I know all of the spaces intimately. I know what's going on in there. I know what was there before. So you really have a nice understanding of the history of the township and sort of where the township's heading and kind of the process of what it took to get there that maybe not everybody gets to understand. So I think that's probably, the most satisfying part is just having a real comprehensive understanding of what's going on.
Hi, I'm Bill Bruno, and I've been with community development for the past 7 months. My specialty is code enforcement. It deals from everything from making sure people have permits. I do some zoning things, grass heights, illegal signs, a lot of various duties that are assigned to me. The newest one would be working with the utility companies with down lines, Verizon lines that are down, Pico lines that are down, Comcast. Any trouble as far as the way poles look, if they're leaning, cross members need to be taken a look at, that various type of things that we do.
Knowing that you were a police officer for 25 years, what brought you back to Radnor, and why is joining the community development department a good fit for you?
I really enjoy working with people. I enjoyed working for Radnor Township for 25 years as a police officer. I really loved the community, still do. Loved working for Radnor during that period of time as a police officer. And then when my wife passed away after a very long illness, they asked me if I was interested, and I came back, and then I'm continuing my service to the community. That's how I really feel about it, and I just enjoy it.
How has COVID impacted your job duties, if at all?
There's a lot more safety involved. You have to be careful. You have to keep covered. You have to social distance, which is very important. And it's quite different, now than it was obviously a few years ago with the masks and things, but it's all part and parcel of what today is.
Are you noticing that when you're out in the field dealing with residents for high grass complaints or the various utility companies, that most folks are very respectful and compliant of the COVID protocols?
Yes, very.
Okay, so you feel like you can do your job safely?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
And I'll tell you another thing too, Molly, is having come from the other side of things, the people in community development really do a wonderful job and a wonderful service to the community. It's a tremendous workload that we do. And I have to give a lot of the credit as to the positive end of things to my coworkers. They really do a wonderful job.
Thanks, Kevin, for heading up such an awesome team here at Radnor. You really embody the spirit of our motto, unprecedented service in unprecedented times. Also, many thanks to Marianne Cassidy for her 30-plus years of service to Radnor Township. We truly appreciate your commitment to the community. We hope you enjoyed getting to learn a bit about our dedicated staff, and we welcome you to take a peek at the second part of the ComDev series, including a conversation with Radnor Township Health Division. Stay tuned for our future department spotlight features coming this spring. Thanks to our staff and our community for making Radnor one of the best places to live, work, visit, and do business on the Main Line. See you next time.